The Central Bank of Nigeria has released guidelines for contactless payments in the country in order to standardize operations and encourage the deployment of innovative products. The bank has also set transaction limits on contactless payment above which verification and authorization will be required. We'll be telling you about the stipulated transaction limit, the daily cumulative limit for contactless payments, and the reason for setting this limit today in the news segment, as well as other top stories from the Apex Bank. Plus, further expert analysis of the recent reforms to Forex market operations by the Central Bank of Nigeria. All in a moment. Stay with us.
Oh, I see. Just hold on in that case. Let me call out my PIN. It is 41...
Uncle, please stop.
Stop what?
You're giving someone else your personal identification number PIN?
Not someone else. It's from my bank.
Please hang up, Uncle. That's a fraudster.
That's not true. But they call out my full name. I am sure this is from my bank.
Uncle, no bank is ever going to call you to ask for your personal identification number PIN, your mobile banking password, or your card verification code, CVC.
But it sounded so genuine.
Yes, hackers and fraudsters always sound genuine. But please, Uncle, don't fall for their bait. Don't respond to any phony emails, text message, SMS, and don't click on any link you're not sure of. Even if they call your date of birth or your BVN, don't give them your security details. If you suspect any issue with your account, please go to your bank.
Oh, I see.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. Here are the top stories from the CBN this week. The Central Bank of Nigeria developed guidelines for contactless payments in the country as part of efforts to standardize operations in the payment system, encourage the deployment of innovative products, and sustain financial system stability. The guidelines has now been released to banks, other financial institutions, and payment service providers in the financial space. Director, CBN Payment System Management Department, Mr. Musa Jimo, in a circular dated June the 27th, said contactless payment, which involves the making of financial transactions without physical contact between the payer and the acquiring devices, is an innovative payment option for safe and efficient low-value and large-volume payments. He added that the guidelines for this payment option was born out of the need to ensure that participants implement appropriate risk management processes and measures while keeping to best relevant standards. Examples of contactless payment instruments include prepaid debit and credit cards, stickers, fobs, wearable devices, tokens, and mobile electronic devices. Contactless-enabled payment terminals interact with contactless payment devices to facilitate payments. All banks, other financial institutions, and payment service providers are advised to ensure strict compliance with the guidelines. Similarly, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued transaction limits for contactless payments above which verification and authorization are required. In a separate circular to all banks, other financial institutions, and payment service providers on 27th of June, Director, CBN Payment System Management Department, Mr. Musa Jimo, stated that the Apex Bank is mindful of the risks associated with the contactless payment and has set the limit for payments through accounts and wallets at 15,000 naira maximum per transaction and 50,000 naira daily as daily cumulative limit. Mr. Jimo said higher value contactless payments are transactions that exceed the set limit and shall require appropriate verification and authorization using existing KYC requirements and limits on the electronic payment channel. Any transaction above the stipulated daily cumulative limit shall be carried out with contact-based technology. Earlier this week, CBN Fair held at the International Conference Center Gombe in Gombe State, where officials of the bank sensitized the public to the policies and workings of the Apex Bank. Director, CBN Corporate Communications Department, Dr. Isa Abdul Mumin, who was represented at the event by Assistant Director Mr. Imo Esu, told the gathering that the fair was designed as a platform to interact with the public on policies and strategic interventions of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a sustainable economic development. There was also a presentation on the recent reforms in the Forex market and what it means for individuals and businesses.
If we talk foreign exchange, what you will be saying you are talking about, say, another country currency and how we exchange them with our naira. Before they get government rate, they get that rate, but today, see they don't talk, say, all rate are one. For government, for you and I, say you want go medical, at the same rate to go buy. The person who want to travel, go enjoy himself somewhere, at the same rate to go buy. The person who want to go school for abroad, at the same rate to go back. So make we take care of our school now, so that all of us will enjoy it. Then before now, we get 43 items where you don't suppose come they carry $5 here, say we go report. So those 43 items, still, you go back. You go fill all the form where you want to fill. But those 43 items no follow. But anything where you want with money abroad, say you want to go to school, say you want PTA, you want to travel, go enjoy yourself on holiday, or any other thing where you want to do, you go your bank, you pay your FX, you pay your dollar, or whatever currency you are looking for. And the market determine price, which means, say, me I look for dollar, somebody dey supply dollar, you go agree the price. At this amount to exchange our money, I have naira, you give me dollar. That is what we call demand and supply. So that demand and supply, now they determine the price they use to foreign exchange.
There was also a presentation on financial consumers' rights and responsibilities, as well as steps to take in order to report unresolved banking issues such as dispense error, transaction failure, and the likes to the CBN.
So, for anyone that has experienced any issue, maybe we're trying to become money at the POS, or the ATM debited you and the money was not reversed, there is a process through. You can go to your bank. The first step, you are expected to go to your bank to report first. When you report to your bank, there are various ways you can use in reaching out to your bank. You can send an email to your bank for those that have email. You can walk in as a customer, you can write your complaint and give to the bank. You can also go to the bank social media handles. For people that are on Twitter, there are banks, most of the banks, their handles are there. You can also lodge your complaint there. It's instructive to note that when you go to your bank to lay any complaint, whether it's a letter you are getting, whether it's through email, whether it's through the phone conversation, there is a number you are supposed to give to you, call it a tracking number. Please, it's very, very important. Let's not forget. Because that tracking number, so maybe if the bank is not able to resolve the complaint, or the resolution the bank made, you are not happy with it, you are going to channel the complaint to CBN. I'm going to come to that later. And the CBN is going to request for that particular information from you, a tracking number. All banks are mandated to give tracking number to customers that lodge their complaint with the bank. Because from our own end at CBN, we are monitoring what they are doing, and they are also penalized if they don't give that tracking number.
On Monday, officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria were at the Federal University of Technology, Akure Futa, Ondo State, as part of efforts to onboard more institutions and students onto the digital currency INARA platform. CBN Acting Branch Controller, Ondo State, Mr. Samuel Giwa, who led the delegation, said the world has gone digital and the move by the Apex Bank was hinged on its resolve to respond to the innovation by introducing cashless policy, of which INARA is a byproduct. He added that when fully adopted, the digital currency INARA will revolutionize Nigeria's financial landscape, appealing to the university to embrace it as a means of transaction to complement the Naira banknotes and for its inherent benefits. During the visit, 10 students of the Federal University who were trained by the CBN on electronic currency were inaugurated as INARA ambassadors. Thank you for staying tuned. This is From the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. In line with the economic policy of President Bola Tinubu, the Central Bank of Nigeria on June the 14th announced reforms to Forex market operations, eliminating segmentation and collapsing all segments into the investors and exporters I&E window, among other adjustments. It's been 3 weeks since that announcement, and we continue with the analysis of the new Forex regime, this time with Global Economic Consultant and Chief Economic Strategist, ECOWAS Commission, Professor Ken Ife. Professor Ken Ife, many thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Just before I came on set, I checked the exchange rate of Naira to dollar for this time, and it gave me 777 Naira 58 kobo to a dollar, and that is the floating of the Naira in action. Now, in a managed float setting, what is the function of the Central Bank of Nigeria?
Well, if you talk about managed float, it means that the process is squarely in the custody of the central bank. And that means that they might be managing some interventions on the rates, because you will see that sometimes they may be tempted to intervene in the market, but they try to allow it to determine itself, the forces to determine the level of the rates themselves. But that's what it does. They try to intervene at some convenient location in the process.
All right. So which is more important in Nigeria's situation? To block or to reduce dependency or the need for Forex, or to improve the supply? Is it the demand side that should be looked into, or the supply side?
I think it's both. I think it's both, because the situations are changing very, very rapidly. A lot of things have been done on the demand side. For example, the 41 items were restricted by central bank, and rightly so, even though I hear some recommendations that it should return them back, and I don't think I accept that. CBN is right in restricting these items. And in fact, to the contrary, I think I should ask them to increase those numbers. And then I asked the finance minister when he comes in, as I've been asking the previous one, use the ECOWAS levy instrument. We will not be able to touch the common external tariff, but we'll use the levy instrument to augment the tax on those items. And so increase those numbers, increase by about 20% using the levy instrument. And then actually, if you want more draconian measure, I will be saying to the fiscal authority, if these guys have to continue to go to black market and raise dollar at all costs to import all those things that are causing problems for our economy, ask them to pay their taxes in dollars, the duties on those. Let them pay the duties on this equipment in dollars, so that they can understand where we are coming from. And to ever take these items back into the fold would mean that you are going to destroy all those companies that have come in to establish, to comply with the CBN requirement and to encourage local production. You just kill all of them off. Look at how much money we have spent on ginneries, including garment manufacturing and the cotton production. All of them will vanish because you have thrown this thing back again to overheat the demand for Forex. Look at that, $4.6 billion every month they're asking for to import things that we can produce. And there are many other things we can do on the demand side as well. On the demand side, we can also get the swap back. I'm not sure why we stopped, but we were doing the Forex swap with China, and that was even helping to reduce the pressure on USD demand, the dollar demand. But we can do more. Already, we now have a Pan-African payment settlement system, which will now mean that we can trade with our neighbors in Africa in their currencies. And then if we need to swap, we can even do swap with South Africa, because they are constantly doing business with us, a lot of it. So we can choose some country who can do immediate swap, or just embrace the the new payments and settlement system, which means that we will have less recourse to dollar. I think 80 to 90% of all that thing we import can actually be imported from any part of Africa. The machineries, you can get some from South Africa, you can get from Egypt, you can get from Tunisia and Morocco. So why don't we just focus more on doing this business within the continent and then save ourselves the embarrassment that dollar is, taking our economy to another cuckoo land.
Now, if your recommendation of increased levy for those items for which Forex had been restricted, if your recommendation were to be taken into account, don't you think it will be passed down to the final consumer and further making things more costly?
The thing is this: you have you strengthen the supply side of our economy, because those manufacturers who are minded to produce products and are doing it now are going to see an elevation of the demand for their products, because the imported one is far too expensive. And that's where you have substitute products. They start switching. People will start switching their demands to the products that are effective substitutes of good quality that are locally manufactured. That's actually what will happen. You strengthen the capacity of the companies, the productive capacity of the companies in Nigeria that are responding to our needs to create more things, to make more made in Nigerian goods. So that's what the argument doesn't fly as long as we have the capacity to substitute for those goods, and I think we have. And the thing is this: those companies from China that have been dumping these things to us actually are coming in and driving the bioeconomy and the cassava bioethanol product. 5 companies have come to me from China that they want to come and establish and work with us because we are galvanizing the supply chain. They will come. If they see that the demand for their products drying up, they will come here and make these products.
Okay. Now, how about addressing it from the psychological point of view? Because from top to bottom, Nigerians seem to have a great appetite for imported products, even when they have a local substitute.
No, it is true to some extent. It is how effective is the local substitute. And we now have quality regimes from NAFDAC and some that are going around. They will increase their surveillance. They will be made to enforce the laws as far as quality and compliance are required. And bear in mind, let me tell you something. Continental Africa trade does not mean you are going to be pushing away all these raw materials that are being rejected in Europe and all of that. No, you're going to make products to the same standard of WTO for them to be sent and accepted in the African countries. So we better start doing this, because even if you don't consume your own product, as long as it's of good quality, other African countries will buy them. If you want to test this, go to the northern frontiers and then go to Seme-Border and see how made in Nigerian goods are so popular in West Africa. So if you don't consume them because you have so much money in Nigeria, there are African countries that are consuming your products.
Now, let's consider the supply side of Forex as a way to meet the high demand in the market, in the Forex market. What sources would you advise as a way to boost Forex supply in Nigeria's Forex market?
Well, first and foremost, the existing structure is that 79% of the current Forex is coming from crude oil suppliers. And then you have 11% from gas. And it's only 10% that is within the purview of the CBN in terms of the component of that, diaspora remittance. A lot of it is coming in now through this window because they're getting higher price. And then you have the foreign direct investment, which is a tougher one to crack because they are looking beyond the exchange rates. They are looking at structural factors, the availability of power, and all kinds of things, environment, overall business environment. They're looking at too many other things before they come in. And they're looking at the security, how it affects their business and the lives of people. Then you have the portfolio investment. Now, the foreign portfolio investments are a bit dodgy because they are also, jumping up and down right now and showing some signs of coming in, but they're also concerned about the dollar availability to pay them back their money when they want to exit. Also, they are concerned about the negative real interest rate, because if your interest rate being offered to them in the some of the government instruments is around 5% or 6% or so, and then the inflation is 22.4%, then you're not going to see more in that particular class, asset class, because they're not going to give you their money. You give them 5%, and then they will lose 22.4%. So that's negative real interest. But they will go to securities, sort of shares, company shares, because as a matter of fact, actually, a lot of this money is in that treasury bill sort of things are moving out and going to companies. That's why you are seeing a lot of the good news with some companies' shares and stocks. But some of the foreign ones are also coming into the shares and stocks to take positions, hoping that things are going to get better. And you can see that some of those companies are doing well. And you know they invest on where there is a gap. You know, if they see that your share is undervalued and they see prospect of growth, they just come there and buy, and then eventually they will go up and they can sell. So those movements are happening right now, but they will settle. They will settle because until you have significant dollar supply coming in, that's when you get them to settle. Otherwise, we'll still be having those oscillations, but it will still have a moving average that is pointing down. That's what you're going to see. But which other ways can you increase that? Obviously, you have the president himself alluded to consumer credit in his speech. And my suggestion is, let us look at tied consumer credit that are tied to that expansion should be tied to manufacturers. Because if you take a clear example, we now have people that are manufacturing cars in Nigeria. And if they say, for example, the manufacturing capacity here is 10,000 cars, okay, and then you have 400,000 second-hand cars coming from Cotonou alone. They are not buying them with Naira. They are buying them with dollars, and they go to the market to get those dollars. So what we do is that if you have some of our diaspora and some investors, foreign investors, wanting license here to come and create a consumer credit, this consumer credit, they are directed to people who are manufacturing cars, for as an example. What will happen is that you, as a consumer, you go in and pay 10%, and then they will fund the manufacturer for the remaining 90%. They also get some discount. Then the manufacturer gets money, and then they can manufacture more cars. They could even do 100,000 cars from 10,000, 10 times more jobs. But the people who are buying will have 3 years to pay for the car. It is no longer cash economy where you must find 100% to buy a car, 100% to buy a house. And that is what is fueling corruption. People who can't afford a car from their salary will have to do something else to get that 100%. But here is affordable. So push away that 400,000 second-hand cars coming from Putin, and then you now have enabling the banks. So they are now enabling the manufacturers to produce more, and then jobs are here, and then the stress on the consumer is also reduced. Just some of the examples. The same happens to mortgages. You build 1,000 houses, you have a refinance, they pay you 80%, then you keep building more, and then you quietly sell the others. They make some money, you make some money, but the fact is that whoever is producing gets a lot of credit without having to go to the banks.
All right, we will continue to observe how things pan out, and we'll continue to analyze. Many thanks for your time, Professor Ken Ife, and your analysis as well.
Thank you.
That's all from the CBN this week. Be careful not to fall for any fraudulent recruitment portal or loan scheme advertisements purportedly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Get your information from trusted sources always. Report unresolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I am William Misi Dada. Stay safe. Bye for now.